A female nurse suffered a brutal home invasion by a stranger who left her severely injured. Yet after recovering, rather than running from her past, she began carefully dolling herself up to visit the very man who'd shattered her peaceful life in prison. Miranda was a hardworking, mild-mannered young nurse who'd been single for quite some time, prompting her well-meaning coworkers to set her up with a friend. That day, as she was getting ready to greet her blind date, she heard a knock at the door and opened it to find a slovenly, somewhat unhinged-looking man. Nothing like what she'd expected, but out of politeness, she invited him in anyway. Throughout their conversation, his eyes never left her body, making her skin crawl. After a few awkward exchanges, it hit her that she'd let in the wrong person, and she immediately demanded he leave. But the man ignored her and instead walked over and locked the door. Shortly after, her actual date arrived with flowers in hand, and getting no response, pushed the door open only to be met with a scene of chaos. He immediately called 911 and rushed her to the hospital. She woke up in the hospital with facial injuries. Though the physical exam showed no major damage, she sat there for hours. She remembered his face. It was the delivery guy who'd regularly brought her takeout. Using this lead, the police quickly tracked down the suspect as he was preparing to skip town and arrested him. Though the case was closed, Miranda's life would never be the same. Her father came home and stood in his daughter's room, feeling like he'd failed to protect her and could only silently stay by her side. After being discharged, Miranda wanted to move somewhere new and start fresh. But the incident had tainted her home's reputation. No one would buy it, and she was stuck living in the same house. Gradually, she became irritable, her mood swinging wildly, unable to sleep at night. She picked up a pen and wrote a letter to the man in prison, but it was promptly returned. She didn't give up sending letter after letter. Finally, she got a response that read, "You win," along with notice that she could apply for visitation. She walked into the visiting room and looked through the glass at the man inside, who seemed nervous, apologizing profusely. She stared at him for a moment. Then, unexpectedly, her first words were to ask if he was getting used to the prison food. The man froze, and then they chatted like old friends about mundane things. From then on, Miranda visited him weekly, her makeup growing more elaborate, her outfits more carefully chosen. Until one day, coming home from work, he suddenly appeared at her door saying he'd come to fix her house. Though shocked, she let him in. The man immediately got to work with his tools, and spotting some damage inside, even paid out of pocket for repair materials. Her father walked in on this scene and immediately rushed over, warning her that the man who'd hurt her was right there. But when he learned his daughter had allowed him in, he flew into a rage, adamantly forbidding her from having any contact with such a person. Miranda insisted this was the only way she could truly move forward. Father and daughter fought bitterly, parting on bad terms. The next day was sweltering, and he suddenly doubled over with severe stomach pain. Miranda helped him inside to rest. When he came to, he found himself lying in bed with Miranda sitting beside him in the same white dress she'd worn that fateful day. Gently wiping his face with a warm towel, her expression tender, he weakly asked what had happened to him, and in the next instant, her expression shifted as she coldly said, "You're finally here." Only then did he realize this had all been her plan.